Hi everybody, which LT Wright Genesis should I buy? It's a loaded question because it assumes that you should buy an LT Wright Genesis. And it is true, you should. Because an LT Wright knife in general is a really well-made, high-quality knife made in America, with a lot of handcrafting going into them, and it is easily on par, in my opinion, with the things that companies like Bark River make, companies like Falcon even, in terms of heirloom quality tools that you're going to enjoy for years and years and years. And the Genesis, in my opinion, is kind of like the flagship LT Wright knife. The first Genesis came out several years ago now, and it came out in the version that I have here, which I snapped up fairly quickly after they came out. I think it was probably on the market for about 9 months or so when I first got a Genesis. I got mine after watching the Black Owl Outdoors review. I'd never heard of the company before. I'd never heard of Blind Horse Knives, which is the company that LT Wright was in before his own named company. And so it was a really pleasant surprise. I grabbed one at the time for about $140 US, which would end up being about 200 Australian dollars after shipping and exchange rate and whatnot. Price has probably gone up a little tiny bit by this point, and the Australian exchange rate is probably going to kick you a bit harder than it did. That was back in 2012 when we were just on the way down for having parity with the US dollar. That was a good time to be a knife guy, I tell you what. But anyway, soon after they released the Scandinavian ground version of the Genesis, in case you don't know, a Scandi grind is a big, large edge bevel. So say on a normal knife, this is the edge bevel right here, this little shining, the bit that actually does the cutting. So on a Scandi knife, the edge bevel is just oversized, and it goes, unless there is a micro bevel, it goes straight from this flat face here, straight to the terminating edge, and so you've got one giant edge. That makes the knife a really good bushcraft knife. This is pretty basic stuff, and I'm probably not educating anyone really. If you're watching knife videos, you probably know all this. But anyway, this was sort of marketed and sold, and it did really well as a quintessential bushcraft knife, as in, and what's a bushcraft knife? I mean, geez, it could be a lot of things, but in my opinion, it's mainly concerned with shaping and making things out of wood. So doing probably larger stock removal of wood to make things like spoons, to make things like bowls, to make things like fireboards. It strays into the survival territory a little bit, but generally your bushcraft knife is going to be a bit like your belt knife that you largely use on days where you're doing primarily wood processing stuff. So I know you can get into semantics, but say something like a camp knife would be something that you'd be happy to use on wood, but perhaps happy to use on food and things as well. Anyway, I'm going on too much. The Scandi ground version came out first, and then it was followed up soon by the flat ground version, which is this one here. So my viewer Luke sent me his flat ground Genesis in to have a look at. Now I believe he's got a slight convex edge on here, and I'm not sure if that's how it comes from LT Wright. At any rate, it came nice and sharp, and this knife is also a performer. So which LT Wright knife do you get? Well, that depends on what you want to use it for. I've sat down and used both of these, a few hours on each one, and after sort of my experiences and whatnot, and they're both enjoyable knives to use, and it was nice to confirm that my nice Genesis wasn't a fluke. This one is just as nice as well. My conclusion is that really, if you want a knife that is primarily for woodworking, and you're going to be getting sticks of wood, splitting them in half, reducing them to spoons, you're going to be getting knots of wood, making little kooksas and things like that out of them, then this is the knife that you want to be getting, because it removes the stock of the wood a lot easier. It gets in, does deeper gouging draw cuts very easily, providing you keep your Scandi edge sharp, which is very easy to do. Fortunately, you can use it on a whetstone quite easily. The long edge bevel sticks to the surface of the water stone very easily. Just rub back and forth very well. Very well played for an easy sharpening experience. The flat grind one, in my opinion, is what you want to get if you like the look of this knife and you want a capable woodworking knife that isn't as great at larger scale projects or stock removal tasks, but will still do them if you really wish. But this is also going to do a lot better in every other kind of task, really. So In my opinion, if you're going to be using it more as just a belt knife without the particular intention, you know, you might do a bit, but without the particular intention of spending the whole day, you know, making traps or making, you know, pot stands or making bush furniture or making bush trinkets and stuff, then this is probably the one that you want to get. For a camp knife myself, I do like about this length too. In terms of differentiations, I would get a different type of knife if I wanted one or the other. I'm not sure if I'd ever buy both LT Wrights, one for my camp and one for my bushcraft, because I just like a bit of that variety. But really, I think this is more of a utility knife. When I put it to work cutting food and cutting cardboard and cutting rope, as well as shaving wood, it did just fine. It's a really good all-round knife. This one is less fun to use for cutting food and cutting cardboard and cutting rope. And the thing about Scandi grinds is they have a real sudden dullness that can really creep up on you, and then it's dull. Whereas this here, you're going to be able to put a variety of different edges on it that you can have either a longer lasting convex edge like this one, or you could put a steeper, steeper bevel, which A2 still would be able to wear just fine. And to perhaps do your really sort of slicey chef kind of work as well. So a bit more versatility perhaps in the flat as well. Another thing, I guess, and this goes back to sort of your bushcrafting type thing, is that although they're the same thickness in terms of spines, if it comes to battening wood, you actually have a fair bit more metal on the Scandi than on the flat. The flat in hand feels a fair bit more handle heavy. The Scandi feels a fair bit more either balanced or even blade heavy, just because there's much more metal. The flat initial billet of metal was, they start grinding on it a lot later than they start on the flat one. So the flat, they start grinding straight down from here. So there is probably an ounce or so less weight, and that means an ounce or so less strength. And also when battening wood, which I did with both, no problems at all, but also with battening wood, you've got full contact at all times of the maneuver with the sides of the knife, which could put the knife under a little bit more stress. In America, your wood is going to be probably fine as long as it's nothing too gnarly. In Australia though, I mean, battening isn't really an essential skill in Australia at all. It's just something I mainly do for light firewood prep sometimes, and also for YouTube, just to show and test knives. So in Australia, I'd probably stick with the Scandi grind if you are going to force your knife through wood in that way, because it's going to be a little bit stronger. So I hope I've been fairly clear in this video, but it's yeah, in my opinion, camp knife, pure bushcraft knife. Both are excellent, both are good, well-treated A2 tool steel. Both come with a very competent leather sheath. The black is with the flat grind. As you can see, it's a bit differently wet molded just to accommodate that flat grind a bit better. And whether that's from the owner or I'm not sure. It actually does, that could be a home job, I'm not sure. Anyway, black for flat, brown for Scandi. Either way, you're going to have a great knife. And either way, you're going to be happy. And either way, you can have a knife that's going to last a long, long time. And it's going to end up being, I think, an heirloom tool. So thanks very much for watching, dudes. I hope you found this video interesting, and I will see you in the next one. Here's a bit more footage to round out the experience. See you, dudes.
Dad, on your nose, did you hurt your nose?
No, it's for my skin.
So it can't do, that's why your nose can't get sunburned?
Yep, that's right.
Oh.
Could you stand back a little bit?
Why?
Just because it's a sharp knife and I'd hate for something to happen to you.
Oh. I wish Dad can have a knife.
Much too young.
I couldn't when I'm a grown-up.
Yep. Absolutely.
I wish Dad would have grown up now.
No, you don't. There's lots of fun to be had being a kid.
Oh. Is it boring to be grown up?
Sometimes.
Does that hurt to get them off?
No.
It does feel like nothing?
Mm-hmm.
Are those too heavy? Are those heavy?
No.
The knives.
No, they're not.
Oh.
Stand back a bit, please.
My head will get chopped off.
No, you just might get a small cut, which would be annoying because you'd cry about it for a long time.
I will cry overnight.
Mm-hmm.
You're nice. You're a nice collector.
You're a bum collector.
I already got my own butt.
Well, that's good, I'm glad. You need just one, you don't need two, so you shouldn't collect them.
You're a knife collector, are you? What are you doing now?
Which one do you think's cooler?
This one.
This one? Why's that?
Okay, that's awesome.
Because it's awesome. Which one do you reckon is sharper? Why?
Okay, it has this sharp head.
Yep. Which one do you think is Daddy's? And which one do you think's Daddy's friends?
This one's for your daddy's friends,
Yeah, that's right.
and this one's for you.
Well, that's good. Alright. Good job, you passed the test.